When we had young kids, Marilyn said, if anything ever happens to me, please remarry quickly.
If they get a black eye, it's probably okay. They'll learn from it.
Is Netflix cheating on the list of potential conflicts?
She called me a simp, but I'm not even sure exactly what a simp is, but evidently I am one. Welcome to the Grace Marriage Podcast. I'm Brad Rhoads.
And I'm Marilyn Rhoads. We're here to help you build a marriage that's stronger, more connected, and full of grace.
I'm Rick Dayton, joining Brad and Marilyn as we bring you weekly conversations designed to inspire and equip you to live intentionally in your marriage.
We'll share practical tips, powerful stories, and strategies to help you and your spouse grow closer and thrive together.
So whether you're just starting out or have been married for years, there's always room to grow. Let's do this together. This is the Grace Marriage Podcast.
This is Brad Rhoads with the Grace Marriage Podcast, and today we have an all-guys edition. Now, it's not just for guys to listen to, but you're just going to hear from guys. And I'm here with three good friends I just got back from a trip to Canada with. And I'm going to start out with Rob. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
All right. My name is Rob Pierce. I am 47 years old. Just celebrated 25 years of marriage with my wonderful wife, Karen. I have a son that's 20 years old in college, a daughter that's 17, getting ready to be a senior in high school. And I've known Brad for 15, 16 years and looking forward to this today.
Yeah, one unique fact about yourself.
I am the 1995 Kentucky High School Athletic Association state tennis doubles champion.
And has been doing premarital for how many years?
12.
Bingo. All right, Mr. Potter, you lead off.
All right. I'm Caleb Potter, and I've been married for 16 years to my wife, Jessica. We got 5 kids of all kinds of ages, varying from 13 down to 6. I'm primarily a grief counselor with Hospice of Western Kentucky, and I have a biblical counseling practice. And I don't know how long we've been buddies, but it's been a good long time.
It's been a good 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2.5 weeks, but really flourishing.
Yeah, and one unique fact about the Potter.
Oh, man. I've had 4 broken noses.
4 broken
The
noses.
same nose broken 4 times or 4 different
Same.
noses broken?
Wow.
Same nose.
Well, I'd have taken the over on that.
Yeah, let's see. What about you, Mr. Pippin?
Well, my name's Trey Pippin. I am 35 years old since you're including ages. My wife, Maddie, and I have been married for 10 years, and coming up on 10 years in September. We have 2 babies with a third on the way, a 6-year-old daughter, a 2-year-old son, and a little girl on the way. So we're excited.
And other than the fact you're on the Davis County Board of Education,
That's
so you
true.
can't use that one, what's an interesting fact about Trey Pippin?
You know, the other day I thought to myself, I should file this away, but I don't remember what it was. The one I typically use is that I am in the official portrait of the 110th Congress of the United States of America.
Hey, that's a good
that
fact.
one.
Now, how'd you get in there?
I used to be a page in the United States House of Representatives. So when I was in high school.
Well, my middle name's Paige. So
Is it really?
That's a good,
See,
get a connection.
we're
already.
learning so much.
My middle name's Swan, so
And Pierce.
there's a connection.
Lewis.
Wow, there you go.
That's great.
Well, what we're going to do today is start off by talking about a little marriage, and we're going to play like the Family Feud edition that you have no idea what's coming on. So I have the 10 biggest complaints wives have about their husbands.
Oh,
And we're going to each guess what they would be and talk a little about each one and whether that's present in your marriage. So we'll let Mr. Pippin go first. What would you guess would be the number one, or what would be in the top 10 complaints wives about their husbands?
He doesn't clean up after himself.
That is number 2.
Oh,
Not
number
helping
2.
enough with the
Now,
chores.
this is the part where you are supposed to go, good answer.
Good,
Oh,
that's a
sorry,
very good
yes,
answer. So that too, that's a good start. So now for me, that's a big issue in our marriage.
Same.
So I mean, like major issue, like Marilyn says, I feel like I have 6 children. So is that a problem in y'all's? I know it's not with Rob.
I have been broken of that by my lovely wife in a grace-filled way, to the point where I'm pretty neat. And on our trip, we just got back from Canada. We were all sharing dinner together, and I had bought a delicious bag of Love Crunch granola, which is like my favorite thing. It's hard to find, and they had it in Canada. And Brad goes over after dinner that I had prepared. I made wings for everyone.
Yeah.
They were great.
And
the
he
group
opens the bag with his big greasy paw, just reaches his hand in the bag of granola cereal, pulls it out. I'm sitting on the couch and I can see granola going all over my kitchen floor that I had just cleaned up.
So my wife is not totally broken. Now, when I first married Marilyn, Marilyn was messy too. When I first married her, and then she changed on me. And then I remember telling her, I said, "Look, would you stop? You're just messy Marvin trying to play house," and went over poorly. So,
Yeah.
What about you, Potter? You have anything to say about this one?
I mean, I've always been pretty neat and tidy, and Jessica has appreciated that. So, having lived with you for a week, I can confirm it took you 20 minutes to collect all your clothes scattered around every square inch of that apartment or condo or whatever we were in.
Well, I feel like I have one kindred spirit because I noticed Trey's stuff was all interspersed around my stuff, and I told Trey if we were roommates.
Hey, I felt like we were back in college.
Oh.
I told Maddie when we got back, I said it was literally like being back in college because I didn't have to worry about where I left my stuff. I could leave a pile here, a pile there. I don't know if you remember this, but there was a Kit Kat that had been partially eaten on the bar of the
Canadian
island.
Kit Kat that
Yeah,
you say is
Canadian
better
Kit Kat.
than American Kit
That's
Kat.
exactly right. But it had been eaten from both sides. It was just the middle. That
Like
was
Lady and the Tramp?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we didn't do it at the same time, but it's like I guess someone would walk by and be like, "Oh, that looks good," and then put it back.
It had to have been Jameis just trying to preserve his healthy eating.
But that is number two. And for me, it's like I do better at home now. I make the bed every day, organize the 9 pillows. I mean, I do better than I used to. But I have like occasional full-on relapses.
Yeah.
And then it is. So that's an issue. So what about you? What's your guess, Rob? What's top 10? He's got number 2 already.
Not helpful with the kids.
Not helpful to the kids. There's number 7 is inconsistent parenting styles. Does that count?
I'd
say
that's
yes.
close enough. Yeah.
I think so. Or we could go with not helpful around the house, like with chores, other chores.
That's number 2.
That's number 2. Same thing as cleanliness.
Yeah,
You got to stick with your original.
So we're going with the kids. So you didn't do as well as Trey. You're number 7. Trey was number 2. But are y'all's parenting styles consistent with your wives?
After 25 years, I think they are. Or maybe it's a lot easier because our kids are older. One thing that I've gotten much better at is not, if Karen feels strongly about something and I differ with her, not discussing that difference in front of the kids. So if she says something, it's supportive no matter what. And then we can talk about it later when the kids aren't there. So consistent or not, it's the consistency of us having a united front against kids, I think is huge because we love our children. They're wonderful, but all children seek to divide their parents when it comes to what they want. So I would definitely say that that's gotten much, much better.
They find those algorithms, right?
Yeah,
They
find a way.
we've got one that's like she called me a simp because she said I go with Marilyn no matter what. She's just a simp, you know. And I'm not even sure exactly what a simp is, but evidently I am one. So I'm like a laid back parent that likes to avoid the hard and just hope everything works out. It's kind of a life philosophy that seems to work for a while until it doesn't. But like that's where I was with parenting. So when we had young kids, Marilyn said, "If anything ever happens to me, please remarry quickly." She actually, believe it or not, even picked me out a prospect.
Are you going to share it here?
No, that would probably be quite inappropriate. But for the record, the prospect was single.
Okay, good.
But that has been a source of conflict for us. It's because like Marilyn feels like the parenting falls on her. The diet, the school, the everything else. She's like, her greatest fear was what it would look like if just Brad raised our kids. So, but the good news is we've gotten to a point now where it's like, we're so grateful they don't have 2 Brads because everything would be chaos. And we're so grateful it's not 2 Marilyns because everything would not be chaos. So it's, what about you?
We have found ourselves in pretty good alignment throughout our parenting journey so far with 5 kiddos. Now, Jessica grew up with 2 sisters in a very quiet, peaceful household. I grew up with 2 older brothers, farming, sports, very rough and tumble. So discipline styles, I would say, were quite a bit different. So there had to be some learning each other and what we feel like is best because I was more of a swift discipline.
So you the strong or you the caver?
I'm the strong.
You're the strong.
Yeah. And she's going to be a little bit more of the grace-filled, let's talk with them and learn why they did that and understand their heart behind that. And I'm just like, no.
I thought you were a counselor. That's what counselors do.
I never said I was a good counselor.
Oh, just a counselor.
A counselor.
Your counselor gives people grief.
Yes. I make your life harder.
You're a grief counselor. So, how about Trey?
We have similar parenting styles, I think. But Maddie, just by nature, is a little bit more regimented than I am. So I'm a little bit more willy-nilly on things. And sometimes that looks like they'll be fine. They're jumping off, the couch to the other couch. If they get a black eye, it's probably okay. They'll learn from it. Maddie's okay with it in theory, but in practice, it's like, I don't know. It's just making me nervous. So we probably split the difference, I'd say.
Yeah, for us, it's like we realize they're better with both of us than one of us. I tell the kids they get perfect parents because Marilyn overparents, I underparent, and if you put us together, we're like right in the middle.
Maddie says our kids are like in the Jungle Book. She equates our personalities to Baloo and Bagheera. And I'm Baloo and she's Bagheera. And hey, it works.
I think you're going to have to explain that.
I don't
'Cause
understand.
So Baloo's like more laid back and he's like fun and fancy free. Bagheera's the more regimented one, keeps everybody in line on track.
Bare necessity.
There you go, see?
Simple bare
Caleb knows.
Very well done. All right, Caleb, what's one of the top 10 complaints that wives have about their husbands? And you should be getting the counselor.
Yeah.
If
It's a toss-up in my mind. Okay, so I'm glad they went first.
You get to pick one.
All right, because it's a toss-up between financials not aligning and communication. Those seem to be the two big things that I consistently come across is we are just two ships passing in the night when it comes to communication.
You only get one, Caleb.
All right,
I'm between 7. Just pick one.
communication.
Communication is number 1.
Yeah, I knew that
Oh.
right after I said mine earlier. I was like, "Damn it, I missed it."
But you're close, number 2. So yeah, communication, that's been a big one for us. I remember Aaron telling me one time in our marriage, I would rather not disagree with you than have to talk with you. And I thought, that's probably a bad. So as an attorney for 22 years, she said it's like when you disagree with it, it's so unpleasant and you're so strong and you're so this. So it's like making communication pleasant. So how's communication kind of progressed in y'all's marriage? And has that been a source of issue in your marriage?
So Jessica made it really clear that not having any adult communication throughout the day, it was just exhausting to her, just always dealing with kids.
Sure.
So I made a point to try to call home or text, all throughout the day, just so she always felt like I was up to speed with what's been going on at home. And that I felt like helped out so much, even if she didn't get a chance to connect with one of her friends or another mom or something, as long as I was checking in, hey, here's what I'm dealing with at the office today or whatever, it just seemed to put her in a much better place whenever I was home, to engage for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, lack of communication doesn't surprise me one bit. And when I do crisis counseling, almost every single time the wife says, I feel isolated. I feel alone. And to a point where I would rather be alone without him than alone with him, so, and I get it. It's not, I don't like to talk about stuff unless it's meaningless, like I'm good. Cardinals just chatting, but it's like, for me, it's not normal to like share emotion or share details like those things. And Marilyn loves that. I mean, I remember one time I was in a case and the lawyer tried to pull something over on me and it had worked. And I was mad. And I won't share what I said because it wouldn't be appropriate. But I got in the car and Marilyn said, how you doing? I just lost it. And Marilyn goes, I love that. I'm like, you love that? She goes, just so good to know exactly how you feel. I rarely feel that. So it's just interesting. It took getting so angry, in your anger, do not sin. I just took the knot off, so, but yeah, it's a practice and a developed skill. Usually, wives typically like to know their husbands and feel close, and it takes communication, dude. I know Trey and I are both communicators. So how about y'all's communication?
Yeah. So for us, I'm the communicator, right? So I'm an expert at talking and I'm an expert at talking too much. So I like to process my emotions through the spoken word. My wife, not so much. So I can beat a dead horse sometimes because it's like, she said, do we have to keep talking about this? We've talked about this so much. And I'm like, yeah, but I had another thought about it. Can't we I just need to rehash it one more time. So that's kind of been something that we've had to sort through as we've developed in marriage. She's gotten better about talking more comfortably about her emotions. I've gotten better about not continuing to talk about them too much.
Well, I was told by somebody that no dead horse is ever safe with Brad. So I mean, it's just one more. I mean, it's just like it's
That's exactly right.
It is uncanny. But
Yeah, so it's been a journey for her to kind of learn more about what it means to communicate her emotions, because she's typically just been a lot more stoic, and the you just don't talk about tough stuff. You just don't. It'll resolve. It'll be fine. And me, I'm like, you can't not talk about tough stuff and not tough stuff and everything else. So we're just different in that. So we're learning, and we're doing. It's just a process. How did you learn?
I'm still not great.
I need to know.
I'm still not great about it. It's like I still like to avoid the hard. It's like if things get hard, I just try to get funny or go cook brats.
Yeah.
So it's just like whatever. It's like let's move away from the hard and let's try to have some fun.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be this bad. And everybody has troubles, and we're all that normal. And it'll pass. And Meryl's like, no, you actually have to deal with problems. So one thing I've done is I'm more like I force out emotion with Meryl. When we're talking, I'll just ask, because I don't even know how I feel a lot of times, because I don't even think about it, because I'm just busy running all the time. So try to force out emotion. And the big thing for me is just being a safe place for her. So that's been our biggest change. It used to, if Marilyn had something to disagree with, she wouldn't share it with me. And now she runs to me if she disagrees with it. So now it's like we talk about everything. We disagree well. That's been the big difference, is just growing and being a safe place.
Yeah, I don't like conflict. I'm a peacekeeper. And especially early on in our marriage, I would try to convince Karen that her feelings were not correct. So, no, you're not really mad. You're fine. Let's go have dinner somewhere. Yeah. And that was not at all helpful.
Yeah.
And so learning to process, we don't conflict a lot at all, but when there is something there, it needs to be done. But just like Marilyn, she wouldn't want to talk about certain things because I was going to shut her down and redirect, which is just a killer for a marriage. You can't do that.
I would ask her questions to show she was wrong. Because like as an attorney, that's what I do. So this is a case, and this is a case. This is, now you said this. Now, kind of explain to me how that works. So it's just like, I would in my mind figure out, okay, that's quite flawed. That's quite flawed, and I will show that's flawed through the question. So
cross-examination.
Yeah, exactly. She told me, she goes, I am not your witness.
Yeah.
So if you were, you'd be the wrong witness.
And I like to talk about the things that I want to talk about. So most of the time, that's the fun stuff, right? That's I don't want to deal with any sort of negative emotion. Maddie will often say to me, like, I'm never allowed to be upset with you, because if I'm upset with you, then I do what you're saying. I'm like kind of redirect or shut down or kind of thing. So I guess I should go back and say, we can talk about anything you want, even if it's not fun.
Well, the next thing is, what does the person think about communication who's yet to communicate about communication?
Yeah.
Man, take me a minute to process that.
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I deal with really hard stuff all day, usually talking about death and grief with people, just one after another after another. So, unfortunately, by the time I get home, I cannot make the case that I am great at receiving heavy, hard things well. I would much prefer to talk about surface level stuff. And thankfully, like, we're really blessed, really fortunate that we haven't had a ton of heavy stuff happen in our lives that have demanded that. But I know that that's something I have to really make a conscientious effort to be present for Jessica if we need to talk through something a little heavier, because I am really maxed out by the end of the day, usually.
Well, one thing that fixes communication a lot is just volume of time. Somebody asked me recently on one of our podcasts, he asked the question, how do you get past just talking about errand talk, kids and what needs to be done? And I said, spend 5 straight hours together, and after about an hour and a half, you run out of errand talk. And you'll end up just talking about deeper stuff, because you'll have to, because you'll run out of what needs to be done around the house. So a lot of reason that communication's not deep and why it's feel isolated is because the lack of protracted time together makes it, you have to do errand talk. I mean, somebody's got to get the kids. Now, we've forgotten them before and gotten a call at 9 o'clock after dark from the coach, you're going to get your child. But, probably does not surprise.
Yeah, not at all.
We've left our kids at church before and got a call from the church. You forgot one, because I thought Marilyn got them, but I got them. But the thing is, you got to have that time, because you have to talk about errand talk. But if you don't have time beyond that, you just have a shallow relationship. And a lot of us, I don't know, a lot of people grew up in homes that didn't talk about a lot of emotion, didn't open up about things. And so you get to kind of just try to grow. Just try to grow in sharing and grow in listening and grow in being a safe place. So.
How do you sort of counsel families through that? I mean, because oftentimes you're probably having people come to you in crisis marriage counseling and they're saying, we don't communicate. We cannot communicate. So how do you, I think most of us, at least for me, I think is the case that we have a pretty natural flow of communication with our spouse, but how do you sort through that when people have none?
It's really cool because like, excuse me, what I'll do is like, I'll just start asking the guy questions. I'll say, tell me how you're doing. Tell me about your emotions. Tell me about this. Tell me about this. What's your biggest struggle? What's your biggest that? And just asking questions for 15, 20 minutes. They'll turn to the wife and do the same thing. And you can watch them get closer together just listening to one another with me asking the questions. I mean, I had one reconcile in front of me because he's sharing his deepest struggle. She hasn't heard them. And then she moves over and just lays her hand on his leg. I mean, she was just like, all of a sudden knowing him brought out the compassion. So what I do is, and then I'll say, look, see what I did? I just sat there and asked questions and listened to dude for 20 minutes. I just sat there and listened to questions and listened to girl for 20 minutes. If y'all would do that for each other, you would actually like each other. But they interrupt each other. They go back and forth. They do point, counterpoint. They get busy. They don't ask questions, and they feel totally isolated. And they're two great people that at the core love one another and like one another. But life is sped up so that they're sprinting across the surface. They don't go deep. They don't know one another. They don't know each other's struggles. Then they take offense. They think something's wrong in their marriage, when in reality, they're both struggling. And if they both just share about their own struggles, they could thrive in the marriage in the midst of them.
And there usually is that battle of seeking to be understood rather than to understand the other one.
Yeah.
That's what I run into a lot, is this unwillingness to understand where the other person is coming from and only putting all of their energy, all the eggs in the basket of making sure that their position is understood. And whenever you can get that kind of stronghold broken down for couples where they will genuinely be inquisitive, and I always tell them, like, be an investigative journalist. An investigative journalist, they go in with nothing but a load of questions. They want to understand every little intricacy and detail. Be like that with your spouse, and I promise it will pay dividends if you are asking these meaningful questions and then actually being attentive to listen to the answers, rather than you just trying to articulate exactly how to make your point and make yourself understood.
Yeah.
Side benefits. We do a little bit of counseling as well. My wife and I do, and men often complain my wife's not as physically attracted to me as she used to be. You know, she doesn't want anything to do with me. We're only having sex once a month, whatever the case is. And I'll always ask the man, how's your communication? Are you still loving your wife, talking with her? Because our wives are drawn to us through conversation, through emotion, spiritually. And when men shut down communication, that the woman is drawn, or pushed away rather. And I don't, it's not always the man's fault, but so often it's look in the mirror first, see where your faults are, communicate deeply with your wife, and see what happens to your sex life. It can take a 180 very quickly.
ChatGPT, when you Google what do husbands complain about their wives about, lack of physical intimacy. You go to ChatGPT and say, what do wives complain about their husbands about? Communication. One gets better, the other gets better, usually. But if you do one better to try to get the other better, it doesn't get better right away, then you stop. So it's just basically saying, I'm giving you my heart, my communication, my ears, a free gift of grace to you. And then, you know, usually when one area starts going a lot of better in one area, other areas of the marriage start going better as well. So. But yeah, communication, it's a huge one. And out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if you just start talking, and as your spouse gets to know you, that's why couples get along so well in dating, and oftentimes can't keep their hands off each other because they talk so stinking much. They connect and they're like all crazy into each other. Then fast forward 8 months after they got married, they don't talk at all and can't put their hands on each other. So it's a clear correlation between the two.
If only the Bible had given us a passage that would have, laid this out for us. Oh wait, quick to listen, slow to speak. Maybe that one would be helpful.
Quick to listen, slow to speak, and quick to have sex.
Yeah. Amen and amen. Preach on, brother.
Brad's standard version. I like that one.
The BSV.
Hey, I gotta know, is Netflix cheating on the list of potential conflicts where like you've started a movie together and then one of you watches it without the other?
No, Marilyn has a very tender conscience. So Marilyn watches a series just enough for me to start loving it and then shutting it down because it's non-spiritual or Christian. So that's what happens to us. Like, we will get all into, like, we did Ted Lasso, and I said, this is really funny. No, it's really bad. We can't watch it anymore. Oh, we did that. We've done that with, we get about 7-8 episodes in. It starts chiseling away at her. Then one episode does one thing that pushes my Marilyn over the edge, and I'm done with the show.
Do you watch it behind her back, or do you?
There's one.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Oh dear.
Oh,
I
no.
did that during COVID. Maryland has a utopian theology, so everything's got to work out perfect. So it can't be a show. So I know it's probably not popular, but I did during COVID. I would sneak upstairs and watch Breaking Bad by myself.
Yeah.
I was full of anxiety, miserable, could barely function, not sleeping, handling everything poorly, including life. And I would just go upstairs and watch Breaking Bad and thought, man, I'm in really bad. I'm like the picture of emotional and spiritual health, you know.
But I'm not as bad as Walter White.
That's true. That's
right.
right. Well, that's
Well,
right.
you had mentioned Bernie. We tried to watch Bernie while we were in Canada, but it just didn't pan out. So Jessica and I started watching it the other night. Got about halfway
What do you
through.
think of Bernie?
It was great. We got about halfway through. Kids kept coming in and interrupting, and we were finally like, all right, we're just going to have to pause it and pick it up later. Well, the next day I'm at work. I have a brief window to eat some lunch and was like, I didn't want to watch something on my phone while I'm eating. We hadn't gotten anything else. And I was just like, well, there's Bernie. So I start it. I watch about 20 minutes of it. And then when I get home, Jessica was like, hey, I'm excited to watch more of Bernie. I didn't think she was that into it because I felt like she was looking at her phone a lot and stuff during. So I was like, she doesn't care.
Have y'all seen? I told you you had to watch.
I haven't
Bernie.
watched it yet.
She was very upset.
Yeah.
she felt so betrayed that I had watched some of that without her.
Now, everybody, Bernie, my wife could watch the whole thing and then sleep at night. So it's
Yeah, it's a good movie.
That's good.
Yeah. So Trey, you need to watch Bernie.
I'm going to.
So-
I promise. Maybe
so-
tonight. Put it on the list.
So the ones we hit today were clean up your mess, guys. Clean up after yourselves. Talk to your spouse. What am I missing? What was the other one y'all picked?
What was yours that was so far down the list?
Oh yeah.
Number 7, the loser.
That was just chores. Chores
No.
generally.
No.
I think there's a lot more to chores.
Parenting style.
Parenting
style.
So one, if your spouse's parenting style is different than yours, that's okay. You bring different gifts to the table, and don't try to make their parenting style your parenting style. Work on just making your differences complement as opposed to fixing your differences, because you'll never fix your differences.
Right.
'Cause
The
we're still-
united front. That is key.
Yeah, I
Those
agree
kids need to know.
Who's
You
in
guys-
charge?
You guys are together
Well,
on this.
and in the United Front, you gotta be careful, because my kids will just blame Maryland. Like, what?
Yeah.
Dad, I know
Yep.
that if it was just you, we could do that.
Yes, you're exactly right.
And then
It's
I
gotta
kind
be.
then I
we
kind of
have
passively
decided.
say, no, it wasn't just your mom.
I don't know what you're talking
And they're
about.
like, well, I can tell by the way you said, yeah, it was just your, so you got to make sure it's like a united front that's a real united front, and not this kind of passive thing like, yeah, you're probably right. and for us, they usually are probably right. So I've got to like really present as a united front, even when, I guess we're not a non-united front because I don't care, so I'm not against her. I'm just,
You're an indifferent.
Well, you're
front.
united because you want your kids to be well and healthy. There you go.
Yeah.
You may disagree about how to get
Yeah.
it there, but
So
We're
that's
united.
good. Well, we've talked about some good stuff today, and thank you for being part of the Grace Marriage Podcast. Remember, marriage just doesn't go well on autopilot. It just takes intentionality. Communication doesn't just go great. You don't just find time for one another. You just don't have great marriages. It takes effort. So if you're in Grace Marriage, don't miss a session. Don't schedule over your marriage. If you're not in Grace Marriage, get in Grace Marriage. And if your church doesn't have a marriage ministry, get a marriage ministry. So thank you, Rob, Caleb, and Trey, for being part of the Grace Marriage Podcast.
of course.
Thank you very much.
What a blessing.
Thank you for joining us on the Grace Marriage Podcast. We really hope you're feeling inspired to take intentional steps to grow in your marriage.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us spread the message of grace and reach even more couples.
And if you have a moment, please leave us a review. Your feedback means a lot to us and helps others discover the podcast.
To learn more about how you can grow in your marriage, visit us at gracemarriage.com. Keep building stronger, grace-filled marriages.
We'll see you next week. on the Grace Marriage Podcast. Until then, keep growing in grace.